So yeah, so I just want to go through the different style carriers. Any questions, let me know. And you can see on the front page there, the picture. That's actually like our MC10s installed in the wall before they put up the drywall or tile. Then they install the toilets to there. And we'll look at how those connect and everything. So fixture carriers are basically in-the-wall fixture ports that are used to mount fixtures. Some of the units have the plumbing connections for the drain lines. We'll look at the different ones that do and don't. And then there's different fixtures and installation requirements that require a certain type of carrier. We'll see horizontals, verticals, depending on what the application is. The first one I want to look at is water closet carriers. The most common ones we have are for off-the-floor plumbing fixtures. Basically, off-the-floor plumbing fixture is just a fixture stalled that's basically looks like it's mounted on the wall where nothing's touching the floor. The fixture is mounted steel studs protruding through the wall from a carrier support and a pipe chase. The carrier support is anchored to the chase floor and receives the fixture load. So behind the wall, there's our carrier that the toilet or sink or urinal mounts to, and that's what's supporting it. So it's nothing you really ever see when you walk into a finished room, but it's there supporting the load. The advantages of having off-the-floor fixtures, it's easier installation. One reason why it's easier is because if you have a floor mounted, you need to install your piping in the floor. If it's a concrete floor, you have to have all that pre-ready. Where if it's a wall mounted, the plumbing could be in the wall behind the unit. So it makes it a lot easier for installation. Maintenance and aesthetics. The maintenance, it's easier to clean. You're not, it keeps it more sanitary than something on the floor that, could have edges and build up dirt and mold and stuff like that. The first picture there, that's our standard MC10. And I just wanted to call out a couple of the components. So if you look at that, you have what's called the legs. There's two of those. And then you have the faceplate. And coming out of that to the left, you have the mounting hardware. There's 4 rods that come out, and that's what your toilet will mount to. And then the nipple is what connects to the toilet, and that's where your drain line goes. And it connects, that whole faceplate connects to the fitting in the rear, and that is where your waste connections will be connected to for your waste to run out. And then in the back, all you see is the little rod, but there's a rear anchor support. Any non-double one, it'll have a rear anchor support, and that's needed to meet the load requirements, and we'll talk a little bit about that moving forward. So that's the basic components. With off-the-floor plumbing fixtures, there's 2 types of water closets commonly used in commercial installations. The first one is the siphon jet water closet. It's just the type of flushing action it uses. Uses a siphonics action to evacuate the bowl. It is a quiet, economical type of flushing action that provides quick, efficient results. The large water surface area of the bowl is better for sanitation. Is another desirable feature of a siphon jet water closet. So, and you can see on the picture on the right, that's looking at the front of the carrier. So the big black circle in the center, that's your drain line that connects to the toilet. Then you have the 4 mounting that are an intersection of those 4 black lines. So you have the center and then 2 connections on the same horizontal plane, and then 2 vertically up. So it's an easy way of determining and seeing what type of water closet it is. The other one is a blowout water closet. This uses a direct stream for bowl evacuation. This type of flushing action is rapid and forceful, primarily used in heavy-duty installations such as stadiums, terminals. Because of this powerful flushing, it's a lot louder, noisier operation. The blowout water closet mounts with 3 bolt patterns. So if you look at the picture on the right, you got the same drain connection, the black circle, and then where the 2 on the same horizontal plane is that, and then there's only 1 single connection down below the drain line. So when we get into MC10, we'll look how our face plates are able to accommodate both with the 1 part. Another thing that we have posted, it's highly inadvisable to mount blowout type water closets in a back-to-back type installation. We'll talk about back-to-back, but that's basically where you have 2 fixtures running into 1 carrier. The first one is the MC10. It's on page 212 of the price book. I want to look at, I think Michael went over a lot of this stuff before. I just want to do a quick kind of go over with this basic installation stuff. So this is the MC100 kit. You have 2 hardware packs. There's a PHP1 and a PHP2. The PHP2 is designed to have all the components that are used inside of the wall for the carrier. And then the PHP1 pack has all the components that are used on the outside of the wall. Because what happens a lot of times is they'll install the carriers, come back a week or 2 later after the drywall's done, tile's done, with the fixtures on, a lot of times we'll lose this. So we made it so 1 pack will get them all the components and mounting hardware to mount the toilet on the outside of the wall. You have the 4 mounting rods. These connect to the faceplate, and that's what supports your fixture toilet. This MC100 comes with a standard nipple. We'll talk about the different style nipples. And then this is the faceplate and your legs. So when we were calling out the stuff in the image, these are your 2 legs. Here's your faceplate. This is the fitting here. So this has 4 mounting holes which line up with these slots. And we'll talk about the height adjustments and everything. So with the bolts with the built-in flanges, those will connect here. You put the gasket, faceplate gasket in between, and you tighten it down and it'll seal. And you could adjust the height of this, which controls your outlet's height, compared to the height of the faceplate, which controls the height that your toilet will sit. This is the rear anchor support. It's hard to see in the picture, but when this is installed there's a hook on the back of the fitting. And this will go on that and anchor this to the floor. Because what's happening is, if you envision this all assembled, you got these 4 rods will connect to these 4 for siphon jet. Then for blowout, it's basically just flipped over, and you have your 3 pattern. Here's your outlet and your 3 threaded pattern for either one. When this is connected, the fitting is connected to the faceplate, and you have the rods coming out, and then you have the toilet out here. That's where all your load is. So trying to have just a single point holding that load, that's why you need the anchor support, because that'll be back here to give you more stable. This is what really takes most of the load to be able to handle certain load requirements for the toilets. So that's the components of like a standard MC10, and then when we get to the other ones, we'll look in the catalog and you'll see how it's pretty much the same faceplate setup and everything, and it'll just be a different fitting for whatever type of connection they want. So, the MC10 is a horizontal water closet carrier. The horizontal refers to the drain on the fitting. So when this is installed, your barrel for the drain is running horizontal. And we'll get into the vertical ones, that's when it's running up and down. It's available in left, right, or back to back. If you look at the top right image on page 212, that's the right, so you can see how the fitting is making the waste run a certain direction. So that determines if you want it to run to the right or to the left. We'll talk about how to determine that. The image right below MC10, that's the double. So you can see there where you got a different type of fitting, two faceplate and leg assemblies, and then you have a back-to-back toilet connection. So this is commonly used if you have men's room on one side of the wall and women's room on the other. You're able to use one carrier, it keeps the wall narrower, it gives you more usable space in the structure. So those are the three different options you have with those. Now with the left and the right, to determine it, if you look on page 217 of the price book, the top, determining left and right hand horizontal carrier system. So in the center of that, you see where it's labeled stack? That's a vertical stack running through. Now, if it's not multiple floors, it'll just stop and run down to whatever drain line they're on. So all of these 5 toilets are just being run on one system, or drained on one system. So if you look, the stack is the vertical one, then you got 2 horizontals to the left and 2 horizontals to the right. And there's 2 ways to determine for horizontals if it's supposed to be a left or a right. If you look at the notes there, from the perspective of facing the vertical stack, if the stack is to the left of you, a left-handed carrier is required. If the stack is to the right of you, a right-hand carrier is required. So if you're looking at the one all the way on the left, and the stack, you're facing it, and the stack is to the right, then you need a right. If you're all the way on the left of this image, and you're facing the toilet, and the stack is on the left, you need a left. Another way of doing it is, if you're actually sitting on the toilet, which way is it running behind you? And if it's running to the left, it's to the left. If it's running to the right, it's to the right. So it's a little different way to explain it in case someone's having a hard time understanding it. Back-to-back, there is no left or right because you just flip it whichever way you want it to run. With these, like I said, the MC100 faceplate, that could be adjusted for either a siphon jet or blowout connection. The standard carrier is a load rating to 500 pounds per ASTM standard. That's standards for all off-the-floor fixtures. And I have it in my office if anyone wants to see it. It's got every type of carrier, and it shows how they test it, maximum pounds, maximum deflection, all that kind of stuff. I want to take a minute and kind of look through, if you go back to the MC10 on page 212, there's a lot of information on this page. So I just want to kind of go through it, see if there's any questions, anything you're not sure of. If we look at the first picture on the upper left corner, you're basically looking at the front of the faceplate legs with the fitting behind it. The main thing to look for is if you see the 9-inch horizontal dimension and the 7.5-inch vertical dimension, that gives you the 4-bolt pattern for mounting the fixture. That's the most common what you'll see on a lot of them. So if someone calls and says, hey, I have an American Standard toilet and I need to mount it, which way does it go? If you look at that, that's the most common one. What else is there? You got the height of the legs, the total width of the whole faceplate with the legs. If you look at the bottom of the image, it's got two charts there. If you look at the one on the left, it says inlet centerline to barrel and centerline adjustment range, 0 to 4 inches max. So it's going to the center line of the your drain to when this is mounted to what the out center line of this is. So with these slots, and they screw and mount into here, that's the adjustment you have. So they could have this way up high and this either in line with it or up to 4 inches down. Does that make sense? The other one, it says inlet center line to floor adjustment range. So what that's telling you is the adjustment from the center line of where the nipple would connect to the faceplate to the bottom or to the top of your finished floor, to what this is mounted to. So that's 4.5 inches to 9.5 inches. And that's the adjustment with these slots here in the legs, because this faceplate's mounted to the legs with these 4 bolts, and that's the adjustment there. That comes up a lot because there's ADA requirements, certain heights that the toilets have to be off the floor. And the other thing, if you want, there's the breakaway tabs. If you look at the image under the one we were just looking at, it shows you if you want certain heights, there's notches here, and you can knock these off and it'll give you that set height. The 5 1/4, 7 inch, those are the most common heights for, kind of the leading industry toilet suppliers. Does that all make sense? And we have done, there was a job we did once where it was for a grammar school and they needed it lower than what we had, and we were able to take these and actually cut a section of the faceplate beyond these knockout tabs to get it lower. I think they wanted a 4 inch, and we were able to do that. So the only thing you got to be careful is you start cutting this too high, you're going to lose your seal between the faceplate and the fitting. So, but the 4 inch wasn't a problem. The one to the right of the breakaway tabs, that's basically giving you the, you can see where it's got finished wall. It's a top view of the entire assembly. It gives you some good dimensions of the mounting slots for the legs. Then you go to the right, like we looked at the MC10R and D. These are real good information because it gives you, a lot of times we'll get calls on what's the narrowest they can make the wall, because you're just losing space. Architects, they always want the most amount of usable space in the building. So this gives you the gap in between the walls that you're going to need to fit the carrier. And we'll look when we get to some other ones, there are actually narrower dimensions. So at the MC10R, if you look from the bottom of the leg all the way to the back of the fitting is 9.5 inches. Then you have 1 inch for those 2 prongs to hold the rear anchor support. So there you're at 10.5. Then there's the X dimension, and it's got the note there. X equals 4 inch minimum to 6 1/4 max. Wall thickness with standard nipple. Minimum of 5/8 possible with short nipple. So the nipple, you have that adjustment from 4 inch to 6 1/4 with the standard nipple. But with the 5/8, what that's referring to is you need a minimum of 5/8 of the X dimension This is just a plastic nipple. They can cut it in the field to what they want. And we got a video I'll show you guys of the installation. I don't know, it's on our website. So they could cut this to make this even shorter than what the standard one is. So that's what the 5/8 refers to. We don't have a short nipple or anything like that. They just take this, cut it in the field, and then they could get, you know, that wall width a lot narrower because you're shortening up the nipple. The one under it is the double MC10D. So you can see, because you got two fixtures going into one carrier, you got a lot wider dimension. You're at 14.5 of just a carrier, then you have your X dimension on each side. Does that make sense? Okay. Then you got the model numbers and then all the options. Are there any options anyone has a question on that's come up that? If you look at, we'll look at the HDX next on the next page, which is 1,000-pound load rating. Like I said, this one's 500. But if you look at HD 750, that uses the same exact components as the HDX. So even though they only want a 750-pound load rated unit, it's actually 1,000 pounds what we send them.
So when they get a, so when they were in HD, they just get an HDX.
Yeah.
So that's with
The whole front support and stuff like that. Okay, so the next one on page 213 is the HDX. This one is a 1,000-pound load rated unit. You see a lot of hospitals, clinics and stuff will require a heavier load rating than the normal 500 pounds. It's pretty close to the same setup as the MC10. The only thing it has, if you look, probably at either the top view, either one of the three top views. If you look compared to the MC10, see how you got the mounting rods that go through from the faceplate to the finished wall? And on the HDX, it has HDX support. So what that is if you look at the front view of the carrier, and there's that U shape that the four mounting rods go through. And then there's actually a threaded rod that mounts to the floor, or anchors that to the floor. So what happens is, because there's such a heavy load rating that's wanting to bend those rods, we put thicker rods that come out of the faceplate to mount the toilet, and then we give it this additional support. And the rear anchor support is a lot larger, heavier duty rear anchor support, because that's taking a lot of the load. Otherwise, you could adjust the same heights as the MC10. The overall depth for in the wall is the same. The double doesn't have the heavier duty rear anchor because you got both face plates mounted, so that gives it a lot of stability. Any questions? Does that make sense? Same thing with these, they could be adjusted either a siphon jet or a blowout connection. The next one is the MC10 EXT on page 214. This one is, everything's set up the same as the MC10, but if you look at the two columns there that show the dimension differences for the heights, the inlet center line to barrel adjustable range, and then the inlet center line to floor adjustable range. You'll see how they're different. What this does is it gives you more depth. So it uses the same faceplate, the same legs as the MC10, same rear anchor support, but it has a different fitting. And what the fitting has is the relation from where it mounts to the faceplate to the outside barrel is different than the regular MC10. So it allows you to have a higher toilet in the middle of a run. If there's a couple standard toilets and then you have like an ADA, a handicap one is usually set higher. It allows you to do that, mount it higher, get the faceplate higher, and still keep your normal horizontal drain line pitch, so it'll all drain out. So that's the only difference. Does that make sense? The next one, and this is regular 500-pound load rating. One thing I wanted to mention, I know you guys talked with this with Michael when he did his, is number 2, designed for 88 height water closets in the middle of a battery. A battery is a connection of multiple carriers. If you look on page 210, the upper picture on the top half of the page, you see how you have, total of 5 carriers. The one all the way on the left is a vertical, so there's your plumbing stack. Then you have 4 horizontals that are all connected to each other, run into that vertical stack. Now with this, if there was another floor of the same, a lot of buildings will have the same floor plan for multiple levels. So if there was the same thing above it, there would be a vertical stack on the next floor above, right where the one on the left is, and the same connection. It just makes it a lot easier, so you're not running drain lines for every carrier. They're all connected into one system. Then there's some good information at the top where it, the closet carrier layout details. Your pitch for your waste pipe, 1/4 inch per foot is standard. Some codes might have something else, but that's the most common. And then it gives the center line for the for like a regular water closet, and then also for a ADA or a handicap accessible closet carrier. And you can see the difference in the heights there of 3 inches. So that's why you want that EXT in the middle, so you can bring that faceplate up higher and still keep your normal horizontal run connecting to the normal, like MC10s for example. Make sense? The next one on page 215 is the MC-10-27. This is the same as setup as like your MC10. You got the left, the right, the double. The 27 is just for a 2-inch auxiliary inlet. So if you look at the top view on the right, there's the double there, and it calls out the 2-inch auxiliary inlet. You can see how this is a vent connection, and the 27 has 2 connections. So you have a vent connection and an auxiliary inlet. That could be used if there's a urinal next to the toilet. They can pipe that right into this. Makes it a lot easier, less piping to run. Any type of auxiliary, type of drain that they want to connect to your drain system, they could do it right there. Pretty much has all the same options as like an MC10. Same depths and everything like that. So it's just an added connection port to the fitting. Normal 500-pound load rating uses the same MC100, so you could use a siphon jet or blowout connection. The next one is the MC10-2737 on page 216. This is the same setup as the MC10-27 we just talked about, except the barrel on this is made 37 inches long. You can see probably the best view is the top view of the MC10L-2737. and you can see how much longer that barrel is. The reason for that is it used to be 36 inches, and it's recently been changed to where each fixture, if you have a bathroom with say 4 or 5 toilets, the standard is 37 inches. So what this allows to happen is you're able to connect this without having to put piping in between. You connect 2 or 3 of these and you'll hold that 37-inch dimension. Just makes installation a lot easier. All your vertical adjustments of the faceplate, the fitting are all the same as like an MC10. And I think if you look on, page 210, back to that layout of all those are all 37s. So you're just directly connecting one fitting right to the next one rather than having to, cut a piece of pipe, measure it to length, cut what you need, use 2 connections, you're only using one. Just makes installation a lot easier. It has the standard 500-pound load rating. There is the heavier load options if it's required. So that's all the horizontal units. Any questions with them? So then we're going to start looking at the vertical ones. The first one is the MC12. And you can see the difference right away between the 10 and the 12 is our drain line was running from left to right. If you're looking at that front view, now we're running up and down. So this is, back to page 210. I know it's labeled MC13, but one all the way on the left, that's a vertical connection. So you can see how your drain line is running up and down, not horizontal anymore. Uses the same MC100 faceplate, legs, has a rear anchor support just like the horizontal ones. We still make them with, even though there's piping system connecting all of them vertically, we still require that you use the rear anchor support to make sure you meet the load rating that's required. Has the same knockout tabs because the faceplate's the same. Can be used as siphon jet or blowout. The only thing that changes is it's a different fitting on the back. So rather than having this, now you have an MC12 one that's vertical. Then page 219 is the same MC12, it just is the HS, which is a hub and spigot connection, just a different type of connection than the regular MC10. Same options, and you can see with both of them, the regular 12 and the 12 HS, you have a 2-inch vent connection, just like you do with this one. It's just set off to the side because it's a vertical connection. Any questions on those two so far? Okay. The next one is the MC13. If you look at this one compared to MC12, what the difference is, probably the top view shows it the best. This one has inlet connections for horizontal inlet connections, where the MC12, you're just strictly a vertical connection. So your drain line, this will be on a vertical stack where it's running up and down, but it has the ports where you can connect a horizontal connection to it. Does that make sense? So that's why with the image we're looking at page 210, it had MC13 because your horizontal runs were running into that vertical stack. There's different, this one has a few different model numbers. You just look at it'll, a single with 2 side inlets, a single with 1 left-hand side inlet, a single with 1 right-hand side inlet. Then you got a double with 1 side inlet and a double with 2 side inlets. So when you look at them back at the MC12, I should have mentioned there's only MC12 and MC12D because there is no left or right. It's, there's nothing dictating what side it needs to be, no direction. But with this one, the L and R, are referring to what side has the connection, not what side, the drain is running.